Hey guys, it's Miss Lowe here. I'm here today to give the lesson on our very first unit, which is on context clues. So if you have heard about context clues before, then you can go ahead and pat yourself on the back and turn those listening ears on because you are one step ahead of the game. If not, I'm going to teach you all about context clues now. So, context clues, what are they? This may be a new word to some of us, and we are trying to figure out what in the world context clues are. So, they are words from the text that help the reader to understand the meaning of unfamiliar words. So, when we see a word in a text that we do not know what it is, we can use our context clues to figure out the meaning of that word. It is important that when we're learning context clues, we act as word detectives. So, we need to look at all the clues we're given to then solve the mystery word. So, how do context clues help us? You might be wondering, well, Miss Lowe, why do I need to know about context clues? They help us in learning new vocabulary. So, it's very important as growing readers, we constantly are learning new vocabulary. So, when we see a word we're not sure what it means, we can use our context clues to figure out that meaning, and then we've learned a whole new word. They also help us to comprehend or understand what we're reading. So it's really difficult to understand what we're reading if we do not know what a word means. So context clues help us in understanding what we are reading. There are four types of context clues, and every time an author writes a text or a sentence or a passage, they're constantly giving us context clues, and they'll typically give us one of four types of context clues. The first one is definition context clues, the second is synonym context clues, the third is antonym context clues, and the fourth is example context clues. Now we're going to learn about those four types of context clues. So the first one is definition context clues. That's when the definition of the unknown word is in the text. So typically they'll give us words like or and to let us know what the definition of that word is without having to go to a dictionary. So if you look at my example sentence down here, it says, after a time, glaciers or slowly moving rivers of ice formed over many parts of the earth. So if you look right here, that underlined and bolded word glaciers is our unfamiliar word. In this sentence, we're not sure what this word means. So it says, after a time, glaciers or slowly moving rivers of ice formed over many parts of the earth. So this sentence gave us the definition of the word glacier. The definition of the word glacier means slowly moving rivers of ice. So in this case, we figured out that the word glaciers means slowly moving rivers of ice because it gave us the definition clue. Synonym context clues. Synonyms are words that have the same meaning. The way I remember that is like SS, synonym, same. Synonyms are words that have the same meaning. So if you look at the example here, beautiful and pretty, those words mean the same thing. Big and large, those words mean the same thing. Think in your brain right now of two words that mean the same thing. Great job. So synonym context clues are words around the unknown word that mean the same as the unfamiliar word. So kind of like the definition, we may see that word or in this type of sentence. So that means that whenever we have an unfamiliar word, it's going to give us another word that means the same thing as that one. So look at our example sentence. It says, the girl sings continuously or all the time. The girl sings continuously or all the time. So we notice our underlined and bolded word that we do not know what it means is continuously. Then right beside of it, it says or all the time. All the time and continuously are synonyms. So we know the girl sings all the time means the same thing as the girl sings continuously. In that sentence, the author uses the synonym context clue to help us understand. Antonym context clues. So antonyms are words that have the opposite meaning. Opposite means different, okay? So antonyms are words that have the opposite meaning, and then opposite means different. So if you look at the examples, the opposite of hot is cold. The opposite of on is off, okay? Think in your brain if you can think of other words that have opposites. Good job. Another example would be sit and stand. Okay, they are opposites of one another. They are antonyms. So sometimes the author uses antonym context clues, and that's when the words around the unknown word mean the opposite of our unfamiliar word. So look at the example. It says, we ran rapidly down the road and then walked slowly up the hill. So in this sentence, we're seeing what we didn't do. So it says we ran rapidly down the road and then we walked slowly up the hill. So we know that run and walk are antonyms, right? So if we ran rapidly but walked slowly, what do you think the meaning of that rapidly would mean? Great job. Yeah. The opposite of slow would be fast. Okay. So we can check ourselves by plugging that word fast in as our underlined word. We ran fast down the road and then walked slowly up the hill. Does that make sense? Yes, that does make sense. The antonym context clues are sometimes a little easy to understand because we typically know the opposite of a word. So in this example sentence, the author did a great job of giving us the opposite of rapidly, right? The antonym of rapidly would be slowly. And example context clues. So example context clues are when a sentence gives you examples that surround the unknown word. So that's when they give you multiple examples of that word. So if you look at our example sentence down here, it says the animals feed on grasses, leafy plants, shrubs, weeds, and other vegetation. So we know that that underlined word, vegetation, means grasses, leafy plants, shrubs, and weeds. It's just another example of that, okay? These are typically when you see an example context clue, you're going to see a list of things maybe. You're going to see multiple things. So we know that this underlined word, based on our clues, would mean the same as grasses, leafy plants, shrubs, and weeds. Now, let's practice and become word detectives. So I'm going to help you guys in practicing this together. Really, the only way to really understand context clues is to dive in and practice on your own. So you do have a couple assignments this week where you will be practicing on your own. But for now, let's go ahead and practice this together. So it says, find the meaning of the underlined word. Jack and Caroline are having a dispute over which radio station to play at work. It would be so much simpler if they liked the same kind of music. Well, Miss Lowe made a mistake on this slide. I did not underline the word dispute, but I was supposed to underline the word dispute. So pretend that there is an underline right there with the word dispute. So it says, Jack and Caroline are having a dispute over which radio station to play at work. It would be so much simpler if they both liked the same kind of music. Okay, so this is kind of using the antonym context clues. The end of this sentence is telling us that they do not like the same kind of music, okay? It says it would be a lot more simpler if they both like the same kind of music. They do not like the same kind of music. So if they do not like the same kind of music, do you think that they're having a disagreement or a discovery? Yeah, I think a disagreement too. So a way that we can check ourselves is we can take this word disagreement and read it in place of dispute. Watch Miss Lowe. Jack and Caroline are having a disagreement over which radio station to play at work. It would be so much simpler if they both like the same kind of music. Does that make sense? Yes, that makes total sense. If you wanted to check, you could check and read discovery in there. Listen to Miss Lowe read this. Jack and Caroline are having a discovery over which radio station to play at work. It would be so much simpler if they liked the same kind of music. Does that make sense? No. So if that doesn't make sense, then our answer would be disagreement. So dispute means disagreement. That's what that word means. Number 2, and I didn't underline my word here either. My goodness. Sorry, guys. So again, we're going to find the meaning of the word priceless, and right here is the word priceless. So friendship is a priceless thing. If Chris put a price or conditions on her friendship, it's no longer priceless. In fact, it's not real friendship at all. So if something is priceless, does it have value or does it have no value? Let's look at that again. Friendship is a priceless thing. If Chris put a price or conditions on her friendship, it's no longer priceless. In fact, it's not a real friendship at all. So on this one, we're going to use our background knowledge. We know that friendship is a really beautiful thing, right? We all love our friends. We all love to have friends. So because friendship is such a good thing, would it have value or would it have no value? Right, because it's a good thing, it would have value. So we know in this case, the word priceless would mean value because our friendships are really a valuable thing to us, right? And 3, I did underline this one. That was good. 2 new girls started school this week. Beth has a gregarious personality. Jenny is rather quiet. That's a big underlined word that's super unfamiliar to us, right? Let's read that sentence again. The 2 girls started school this week. Beth has a gregarious personality. Jenny is rather quiet. So we know that the 2 girls, let's look at the clues this sentence gave us. We know it has 2 girls that started school this week. We have 2 different girls in this sentence. We have Jenny, who is quiet, and then Beth has a gregarious personality. So we know that their personalities are different because it says Jenny is rather quiet. That means that the 2 girls are different. So if Jenny is quiet, would Beth be shy? No, because shy and quiet are synonyms, right? They basically mean the same thing. Would Beth maybe be outgoing? Yeah, outgoing is when you're full of personality, you're really bubbly, you'll talk to almost anyone. So we know that the word would be outgoing because Beth and Jenny are different. So when we plug that word in, it now says 2 new girls started school this week. Beth has an outgoing personality and Jenny is rather quiet. Give me 2 claps if that makes sense. So that is the end of our PowerPoint. We just learned all about context clues. Like Miss Lowe said, this is really just something you have to practice. So becoming word detectives is something that you have to practice on your own. And in this week's assignment, you will be given 3 different ways that you're going to be able to practice context clues. You're just given sentences and you'll have to figure out what the underlined word means based on your clues. So remember to go back into your sentence and plug your word in that you think is the correct answer. If it makes sense, then you're right. If it does not make sense, then that's probably not what that word means. So context clues are something that we will read, that we will use as long as we're reading. Every time we read a passage, we're going to have to use context clues to try to figure out what words mean. So now I'm going to show you what your assignments will look like this week. You will head to your dashboard, and because you are with me, you'll be under the reading course, and that's where you're going to be practicing your context clues. So you'll go down to your Virtual Virginia login, and I'm going to be logging in as a teacher, so mine's going to look a little bit different. You'll also have a boom card assignment again this week, and I hope the boom card activity went well the past week. If you had any trouble with that logging in, please let me know. So I'm going to head now to my reading course. And then yours is going to look a lot different than mine because this is still set up for week 2. So yours will say week 3, and you'll click on that week 3 page. And that'll take you directly to your assignments. But for now, I'm just going to go through and look at my week 3 context clue page. And when you bring it up, it will have all your assignments. Remember, our assignments are due Sunday nights. Please remember that. You have a whole week to work on your assignments, so please get those done. You'll see a little anchor chart here. This is just to help you in understanding what context clues are. Then you'll have your brain pop video, which I want you to watch first. Then you'll have this video that I'm currently doing. It'll be right here underneath the brain pop video. And then you'll come down to your activities. You'll have the boom card activity, which was just like this past week. But for this week, it'll be on context clues. And those are for a grade, guys. So make sure you're getting those done. And then you'll see your context clues worksheet. Don't forget to put your name here. Okay, and look, it says each sentence below has an all uppercase word. Use the other words in the sentence to help find the correct meaning of the word. So if you look at number 1 on this one, it says the girl penned a letter to her grandma. So we know that a letter is usually something that we write, right? So if the girl penned a letter to her grandma, did she cook the letter to grandma? Did she write the letter to grandma? Or did she dance the letter to grandma? Right, she wrote a letter to her grandma. Our clue in this sentence was letter, okay? Our clue in that sentence was letter. Being detectives, we figured out that the word pen means wrote, all right? You'll answer all the questions on that, and then you'll hit the blue submit button down here. Then I'll take you over and look at your other worksheet that you have. I'm trying to just do everything in one video this week, so it hopefully helps. And everybody this week will have the same assignment. So my A and B day students and my all virtual students, we will all have the same assignments this week. So this is the same way. You're going to read this, and then you're going to figure out the meaning of that word. So it says, sometimes at lunch we have slow-mo. Slow-mo is a good drink. I like chocolate, but some people like skim slow-mo. What is slow-mo? So these are just fun little riddles, and you're going to have to use the clues in the sentence to figure out what that word means. So let's look at this one. Sometimes at lunch we have slow-mo. So there's clue number 1. We know we have the slow-mo word at lunch. There's one clue. Slow-mo is a good drink. There's a second clue. We know it's a drink. So we know if it's a drink, it can't be cake. Maybe it can be ice cream because maybe you melted it. I don't know. Let's see. I like chocolate. There's clue number 3. But some people like skim. That's clue number 4. Is ice cream typically skim? No, and ice cream's typically not a drink. We know that slow-mo, would typically mean milk. So listen at me. I'm going to now plug that word back in and see if my clues helped me understand this word. Sometimes at lunch, we have milk. Milk is a good drink. I like chocolate, but some people like skim milk. Does that make sense? Yeah, good job. So that's all I have for this week. I do want to show you guys one thing. So for mine and Miss Weaver's assignments, sometimes they do not disappear from your to-do list over here on your side. If you know that you have completed an assignment for us and it is still over here, you're going to have a little gray X on the side, and you can click that gray X and get rid of that assignment, only if you know you've done it, okay? Leave that up if you have not done it yet, because I don't want you guys to get confused on that. So that's all I have for this week. I hope that the context clues were easy for you guys to understand. If you have any questions regarding context clues, please let me know. If you have any questions on the assignments, please let me know. I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.